Hey everybody! As you can tell, fall is approaching. By the time this is up, I think fall will start in like 3 days. So excited. But something I love the most about the fall season is cozying up with a good book. So today I'm going to be sharing my book recommendations with you all. And I have my chai, pumpkin chai. So, before I begin sharing my books and my book recommendations, I just want to say some of these I read like a long time ago and I'm in high school, but I remember loving them. So, do with that what you will. I'm pretty sure all of these are YA books, but I could be completely wrong. They could be younger than that. So, I'm sorry. Just letting you know that's around the age range of these books that I'm recommending. So, I'm going to be splitting up this video into 6 parts in one video. The first is fantasy genre. The second is dystopian. The third is historical fiction. The fourth is mystery. The fifth is Christian books. And then the sixth is literally just 2 random books that I don't know what genre they're supposed to go in. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. We're starting off with fantasy. The first fantasy recommendation I have, let me tell you, I devoured these books. I don't know if you can see them, but these are the School for Good and Evil books. And for me, these were like the Hunger Games to me. These were like Divergent to me. These were like Percy Jackson to me. These were like Harry Potter to me. These were what Shatter Me was in 2010 to all the reader girlies. Like, I ate these up. Also, I'm going to try and give a summary of these books, but I don't remember some of them. And they have a movie on Netflix. I watched it because I was like, I have to watch it. I don't know. I don't really remember watching the movie. I was sick that day. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. So the first book in this installment is The School for Good and Evil. So basically this whole series is about these 2 girls, and they live in this town where like there's a rumor that people get taken away in the middle of the night to go to the school for either good or evil. So there's Agatha and, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Sophie. Yeah. There's Sophie right here and Agatha. So everybody thinks Sophie's this kind, sweet, beautiful. They think she's going to be a princess. And she's evil. She looks mean, gloomy, emo. And they get to this place and they're swapped and they think there's a mistake. So basically they figure out what's gonna happen. And that just continues throughout the whole series. They have love interests. They like get into the kingdom. Like there's the school year. So then there's like, 3 books where they're in the school and 3 books where they're like a part of Camelot. And I just love these books. I love them so much. So much that they are on my wall. The second one is A World Without Princes. Next one is The Last Ever After. Like, even the cover art to these books is so beautiful. They are a hidden gem, and I will stand by that. Quest for Glory. I'm like peeking behind the book. This is like when I take pictures on canvas for my assignments. A Crystal of Time. And then the last one is One True King. The next fantasy series I have is Shadow and Bone. Now, I might have devoured these because I was in 7th grade when I read these. I was like, I'm going to be a book talk girly. Like, that was when book talk was in its prime. And now book talk is just Spice Schooners. And yeah. By the way, all these books are no spice. There's one that might have been like Closed Door. But I skip if it gets like even close. But the first one is Shadow and Bone. The Netflix series was good too. I like that. The second was Siege and Storm. And the third one was Ruin and Rising. Now, I think if I read these books now, I honestly would have a different perspective. There were characters that I loved that I know I would still love, but there were some ships that I shipped that I'm like, you sure about that now? Like, thinking about it, I don't know. But when I remember, I liked them. I didn't love them, but I liked them. The next, let me tell you, these books, like, why did people stop talking about these books? Like, why? But this is the Six of Crows duology. I don't have the first one, but I have the second one. This is all tabbed up. Love, love, love. These books, better than Shadow and Bone. But they're also the show, so I watched the show because of the crows. I love Six of Crows, let me tell you. Just amazing. Oh, and I didn't even tell y'all what Shadow and Bone was about. But I have a feeling like people know. But, so Alina is this, like, peasant girl from what I remember. And then they find out she has, like, some kind of power. And then she's taken away to, like, the ruler of the world. And then they kind of, like, fight evil. That was pretty bad. I'm so sorry. Let me read the blurb. How about that? Orphaned, yes, she was an orphan, and expendable, Alina Starkov is a soldier who knows she may not survive her first trek across the Shadowfold, a swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. But when her regiment is attacked, Alina unleashes dormant magic not even she knew she possessed. Now Alina will enter a lavish world of royalty and intrigue as she trains with the Grisha, her country's magical military elite, and falls under the spell of their notorious leader, the Darkling. He believes Alina can summon a force capable of destroying the Shadowfold and reuniting their war-ravaged country, but only if she can master her untamed gift. As the threat to the kingdom mounts and Alina unlocks the secrets of her past, she will make a dangerous discovery that could threaten all she loves and the very future of a nation. That said it much better than me. I basically said that though, so I remember. I'm proud of myself. So, Six of Crows. I don't really have, like, the other one. But basically, from what I remember, it's literally 6 people. And they're kind of like criminals in Ketterdam. Yeah. What I just said. That's where they live. And they're like this group of kind of criminals. And basically, they're, like, surviving, and I'm pretty sure they, like, have to pull off a heist and stuff. But, yeah. My explanation did not do it justice, but I'm telling you, go read it. It's so good. Next, I want to mention Red Queen. I'm not gonna lie. I only read the first book, but I ate it up. So, go read that. The next... Now, I know this is, like, technically a children's series, and I only have this one book. I don't know why. But, Seraphina, y'all. These books are so underrated, and, like, I totally would read them again now. Like, they were so good. Like, I don't even know how to explain how good they were, but they're Disney Hyperion books, which are the same as Percy Jackson, and that should just show you how good they were, because Disney Hyperion does not miss. But yeah, basically this girl, she lives with her dad in the basement of the Biltmore estate, and she basically finds out some interesting things about herself. Honestly, I don't remember how much is revealed in the first book, but it's kind of like a world of magic. Next is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Now, I will say, this book took me like a year to finish. I'm not kidding. Simply because I didn't pick it back up after I picked it up for the first time. A lot of people love this book. And I like the concept of it. So that's why I'm recommending it to you. Not because necessarily the ending, once I finally got into it, I liked it, but it took forever to get into. But I liked it. No, I liked it by the middle, and then the ending kind of made me mad. But I also feel like if I read it again, I would feel differently about it. Because I feel like I've matured since the last time I read this book. But it did make me mad. I don't know if that's a common theme for people who read this book. The ending, I was really upset with it. It wasn't like a sad kind of upset, like, oh, this is good, I get to cry. It's just frustrating. Like, I went through all of that for that to happen. But the writing, I will say the writing is very, very beautiful in this book. Basically, the concept is this girl, she makes a deal with, I don't know if it's the devil? No, it's like some weird spirit thing. I don't know. But basically, she gets to live forever because she wanted to do that to escape where she lived. but nobody remembers her. So the concept, I love the concept. Like, the concepts are really good. So yeah, and the writing is really pretty. So that's why I recommend you this book. A Song of Wraiths and Ruin wasn't my favorite. I liked it, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. But I will recommend this to you because it is a Ghanaian author, and I love Ghana. I am Ghanaian. I have my Ghana flag right here. Ghana pride. It was cool to see like African culture in a book. It was also confusing to me because I expected it to be most of West African culture, but it was a mix of a bunch of African culture, and it was really confusing to me a little bit. But it's technically like a romance book, like Enemies to Lovers. I really like the perspective of the girl, and I really like the girl character. I just couldn't really get behind the guy character. Something about him, maybe he just wasn't my type, guys, but I don't know. They were not bad together, but like there wasn't the tension that I needed. I don't know. Something about it didn't hit for me, but it was still like a good read. Basically, they're escaping their home and trying to get into this new city. And this like evil spirit called Adir, I think that's his name, kidnaps the main guy's younger sister. The deal he made was to get his sister back, he has to kill the princess. And the princess, it's like this big festival time. And it's basically like them going for each other. And she wants to kill him too. I think that would be a spoiler to tell why, but yeah. We have Powerless Trilogy. So I only have 2 of them because only 2 are out. I don't know how to explain the plot of this book. Because it's basically like if 5,000 tropes were mushed together. Basically, it's literally like Hunger Games and Red Queen if they had a child that looked exactly like them. But basically, it's Peyton and Kai. Peyton's a thief, and she has no powers. And Kai, he's the prince, and he has powers. And she saves his life. And so he puts her in this, he invites her to this trial that he's also going to be in. And she has to they don't like people without power. So they're trying to kill her, her people. And she's trying to pretend she has powers. And this is not even a spoiler. They fall for each other. And then there's the second one, which what actually happens is a spoiler. So I can't tell you. But the first one I devoured. The second one, I was like, when is this going to be over? And that's my honest opinion. I was like, when is it going to be over? Simply because it felt very repetitive. Like, I loved what was in the first book. It just felt repeated in the second book, and it felt a little rushed. But the first book I devoured. It was, if you don't like tropey things, you wouldn't like it. But I devoured the tropes. Like, it was fun. It was good. It was a good read. It was an easy read, and I enjoyed it. But the plot, especially in the second book, was kind of like, it didn't feel well thought out. Like, I don't expect everybody to be writing a high fantasy book, but the plot didn't feel consistent. Not consistent, it was lacking at times. Now this, The Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. I don't know why. I don't really remember these books, but I remember that I loved them. So, I'm telling y'all, I don't remember what I read until I read the blurb, and then it's just like all comes back to me. These books were so good. Basically, from what I remember, the main girl, she's like another nation's queen's guard. Like, she's a part of the, she's a soldier for the queen, basically. So she goes into this other kingdom, and I'm pretty sure her goal is to kidnap the prince and bring him back to the queen. Or maybe he's the king now. Guys, I'm struggling. I don't necessarily remember. Or maybe she's trying to make a treaty with him, something. They're going back and forth, like, for each other, against each other. It's interesting, though. Like, it was so good, but I don't remember the plot. I'm not gonna lie. But I do remember the plot. Like, it was solid. It was good. And especially by the end of the book, I was like, what? Like, I needed to know what happened next. The plot was good. I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is I don't remember. Guys, I'm realizing how bad I am at recommending books. I'm so sorry. Okay, y'all, this is my last fantasy books. The Cruel Prince! Y'all. Everything about these books. Like, I love me a good slow burn. I love the tension. I love an interesting plot. Like, the plot Like, I need to know what's happening next. Like, I need to know, like, what's going on. These brought this to you. Oh my, I would read these books again. Like, I'm not a book rereader simply for the fact that I want to see something new. Like, I want to keep reading more books, but I would reread these, y'all. Basically, I even remember the plot of these books. Y'all, that's how good they were. Like, the world building in these books, so good. This is real enemies to lovers, y'all. Anyways, basically, Jude, she's a human, and her sister, or her mom, loved a fae man before she had her. Jude is twins with this girl named Taryn. So Jude and Taryn are twins. And they have a sister, older sister named Vivi. She's half fae. And one day, some random man named Maddox, who is a fae, offs Jude's parents. And then takes them back to fairy with them. So her and both her sisters. This guy is her oldest sister Vivi's dad. And basically now they basically lived in fairy their whole lives. And they are just so behind because fairy are these majestic creatures, like they're in such danger living here. But Prince Carden is in Jude and Taryn's class. And he's the cruel prince for a reason. He's very mean to her. But you just kind of get to see her fight to survive in the world and how she fights her way up in the world. And that's all I can explain without like giving too much away. But just know that these books are so like, they're so worth it. So worth it. The first one's The Cruel Prince. The second is The Wicked King. And then the third is The Queen of Nothing. And you will not be disappointed. Okay, time for dystopian. Y'all, don't call me basic with these recommendations because honestly, if you haven't read them, like, what are you doing? Like, honestly, if you haven't read them, like, come on. I don't even know if you can see the titles, but The Hunger Games, y'all. If you haven't read them, what are you doing? Like, do I even need to explain why? Okay, especially if you've seen the movies and you haven't read the books. What are you doing? Like, I don't even know how to explain it because you should know. But they're just like a staple of literature. They're almost a classic, you know? Basically, if you don't know, Katniss Everdeen lives in this place with like sections, almost districts. She lives in District 12, the poorest district, and every year they have this thing called the Hunger Games, where 2 people from each district are supposed to fight to the, and her and this guy named Peeta go to the Hunger Games. Okay, the next one, another basic one, but like, I feel like these aren't as talked about as the Hunger Games because the Hunger Games movie franchise keeps them going. This movie franchise was like, the first one was good, the second one was okay. I haven't even watched the third one. I need to, but I haven't because they didn't even finish the movies. That's how bad they were. But anyways, Divergent, Allegiant, Insurgent, prime dystopia. Honestly, if you haven't read them, what are you doing? Basically, this girl named Triss, everybody lives in, I think it's factions. There's like Amity, I can't remember the names. Okay, there's Amity, Erudite, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Dauntless, Candor, and there's one more. And Abnegation. Abnegation. Basically, she's abnegation. And I'm pretty sure there are things like modesty or like selfless. It's selflessness. And when you get the certain age, you have to go to this thing and you pick which faction you want to be in. And before that, you have a test where you see which faction you should be in. And so she picks her faction and she doesn't pick what her family wants her to. But these books are so good. Like, the first one was my favorite. Like, I ate that. Like, I could not stop reading that. And then the second one and third were, like, not as good, but they were still good. So you have to read them. Okay, my last dystopian recommendation, and I don't have the books, but it's the Legend series. I love the Legend series. Like, my sister just said they're so good. The first one's Legend. I don't remember what the second one's called. Huh? Okay, the second one's Prodigy, and the third one is Champion. I've only read Legend and Prodigy, but I love them. I love Day June. Everything about them. They're just so good. So I haven't read Champion, but I should. But you should also read the Legend trilogy. Okay, guys, time for historical fiction. Well, some are memoirs, but most of them I read in middle school. But for me, historical fiction, like, they don't have an age. You can read them at any time. Like, they're so good, y'all. The first one we have is The Girl on Schindler's List. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but it's a true story. It's a memoir. It's just good. All of these books are good because, like, they're historical. You're learning about history, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know how to explain why I enjoy historical fiction, because that just sounds bad. Like, you like reading about people and more. But I like hearing their stories. I like empathizing with them. Okay, next is Out of Hiding. This one was really good. She basically escaped and she got to America, and it's kind of like about her life in America. And I really enjoyed this one. Also, Anne Frank. I read that when I was like kind of younger, so I didn't finish it. But from what I read, I really enjoyed it. So y'all should read Anne Frank. The next is The War That Saved My Life. Y'all, this book is so good. Like, it's about this girl, and there's a second one too. I read it, but she has this leg condition. I don't remember what it's called. Basically, she walks differently, and so she was sent away from her house because of the war. But you kind of discover what her family life used to be, and how the war like changed her life for the better in a strange way. This is kind of like a memoir once again. This is about one of the guys who's on SEAL Team 6. And they went on a mission. I can't remember what the mission was, guys. But basically they're going on this mission, and there's like a little bit of romance because there is a girl on the team. But basically they put together a different team of people to accomplish this task. And it's really good. I really enjoyed this book, and I didn't think I would. Next is Signs of Survival. This is a memoir. It's very thin. I honestly don't remember much of this book, but I enjoy every historical fiction book I read, so I'm going to recommend them all to you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's just a memoir of these two girls during the Holocaust and their tragedies and how they overcame them. Next is The Boy at the Top of the Mountain. Y'all, this had such an interesting plot. This was actually really good. Basically, from what I remember, he's an orphan and he goes to live with... Yeah. That's what happens. Yeah. And he's like a servant in his house. It's really interesting. Hey guys, it's me editing. Don't mind the lighting. I don't know why. It makes my eyes look red. But I would like to say that this video is 100% made on a whim. And after watching this last part, like, what's happening? I'm very confused because I just pulled out books on my shelf that I know I read. I was like, these ones were good, and I just did my best to explain them. So I apologize that these recommendations are honestly kind of bad, but I hope it's entertaining. That's all I had to say. Continue having fun watching the video. Marsha Forchuk Scripuch. I'm so sorry if I said that name wrong. She makes such good books. I believe I read this one. I know I read this one, and this one was really good. But so good. I feel like I can't say this on YouTube, so I'm just not gonna say the names, but if you need to, screenshot it and invert it. But basically, it's what the title says it is, and just goes into more detail. This is my queen of historical fiction, Jennifer A. Nielsen. Oh my gosh. And I know these are technically children's books. I don't care. They are so good. Every single one of them. This one, actually, I read this one like 2 weeks ago. Y'all, all of her books, like, they keep you on the edge of your seat. Oh my gosh. So good. This girl, basically her father's working in Germany, and they haven't heard from him in a long time, and he's basically missing. And so she has to decode things to help find her father and help people escape. Really good. This one, I read this book, I don't even remember how old I was, but this was like I'm pretty sure this is like the first book that made me cry. Oh my gosh, I love this book. But I love this book so much. And basically, she works in a resistance in Lithuania during one of the wars, and they were banned from reading. All their books were taken from them and burned, and her secret resistance was helping smuggle books. So good. Next, A Night Divided. Oh, this is about a family separated by the Berlin Wall. I don't remember much about it, but I also remember that this one was good too. This is my first Jennifer A. Nielsen book, and I love this book. This book's so good. Basically, it's a girl who works for the resistance, and she helps, like, her family. It's so good, y'all. It's so good. And then the last memoir no, not the last one. Three more. Sorry. These two I don't have with me, but one is Night by Elie Wiesel. We had to read that for school, but honestly, I really liked that book. Okay, the next one is 50 Words for Rain, and I don't know if this is a historical fiction because it's like set back in the day. I don't know how historically accurate it is, but I love that book so much. It's about a girl who basically she's mixed with Japanese and Black, and her mom leaves her with her grandparents, and she basically is adjusting to life there, and she finds a family member that she didn't know about who kind of helps her with her life. I love that book so much. Also, Night is basically about this boy who goes with his father, and they get taken to a camp, and it's just a memoir about it. Okay, so my last historical fiction is Lovely War. This is more of a romance than a historical fiction, but I love it. It's kind of like magical realism. It's really interesting. Basically, it follows two couples, and I think they're both in World War I, but I could be wrong. Maybe one was in World War II, because there might have been time separation, but I can't really remember. But basically, it's like kind of like about Aphrodite and Ares in a way, and how Aphrodite is conducting these love stories during the war that Ares is bringing on. But it's really interesting, and I like it's different, so I like that. My next genre is mystery. I love mystery books. I don't have that many mystery books, which is really weird because every time I get mystery books, I cannot put them down. I love them. So my first one, I don't have this with me, but One of Us is Lying. I could not put that book down, and I love books that I cannot put down. The next, my sister has the first one, but this is the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. So good. The second one is Good Girl Get Bad Blood, and then the last one is As Good As. But y'all, just basically, this girl is doing a project about a murder that happened in her town, and she believes that the person who was believed to be guilty is innocent. And so she goes on this investigation to try and discover the crime, and it just gets really good. And there's also a side plot of romance, and it's just really good. The next is Agatha Christie. I'm not a fan of old books, really. Like, that sounds like whatever, but I'm just not a fan. Like, I don't like the words. Like, Dune, I did not finish that. And also, yeah, it's just, I don't like it. This one, I liked, though. It was really good. It was really interesting. It's called And Then There Were None. Really good. Basically, these 10 people get a letter, and they go onto this island. And they go bye-bye one by one. And you have to figure out who did it. Okay, this is the last mystery book, and I don't even think this qualifies as a mystery book, but it felt like a mystery to me because I had no idea what was happening until the end. Like, the plot twist made it like a mystery. This is We Were Liars. And I haven't read the second one because I just can't I can't fathom what would be next. Like, at all. But basically, this girl, she returns to her family's summer home. Basically, her friends are with her on this summer house. Well, it's kind of like her family and her family friends. But something's off. and you have to figure out what. Okay, I'm gonna save the best for last. So this is my 2 random books. This is Playing with Fire, and this is about a girl who was traumatized by a fire when she was younger. And then she goes hiking in the woods, and there's a forest fire. And she's with these people, and you get to see how they, like, survive and escape. This one is, like, very random. This is just, I like this book. I'm not even finished with it. But I think it's a very good, like, self-help motivation book. But this is Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. And it's an easy read. And it has a lot of good concepts in it. Last but not least, Christian/devotional. I cannot tell y'all how much I love this book. This book is, like, it's so good. It's basically a retelling of Hosea in the Bible, the book of the Bible, and it's a romance book. And this girl, she's a prostitute in, like, the gold rush times. And this man is, God's like, that's her wife. He's like, what? So he basically, it's about his pursuit and her running away from him a lot. But he's not pursuing her a creepy way, I promise you. It's just really good. And I don't know how else to explain that. But it's a reflection of how God still loves Israel, even though they continue to run away from him and turn away from him in the Bible. This is a devotional called Grace is Enough. It's just a good devotional. Good for morning, like, when you first wake up and you want to spend time for God, just with God. This is good. This is called Gay Girl, Good God, and it is Jackie Hill Perry's testimony of how she found God. And I just love this book. I love hearing other people's testimonies. I love hearing their stories, their journeys to Christ, and it's just a really good book. And it's a really easy read, and she says some really strong, profound things regarding God and Christianity. And it's a really good book, and she's super wise, and I just love her faith. The next is Do the New You by Stephen Furtick. I like this book for the most part. I did a Bible study with it, and I really enjoyed it, so yeah. Basically, he's just teaching you about mindsets that you should adopt as a Christian. Now, next is the devotional I'm doing right now. It's called Our Faithful God. And I just really like it. It's good. You read a chapter of the Bible, and then you read this. And it's like a good Bible reading plan, so it's good to go along with if you don't know what to read in your Bible. And I really like the author. She did a lot of mission work in Uganda, and I just love the way she writes. This book, guys, what are you waiting for? The one thing no one ever tells you about. I also, like, I'm kind of scared that YouTube will, like, cut me off. Like, I don't know if shadow banning is the word, but if I say certain things, like, but this is a really good book. It's a good Christian perspective on, and it basically tells you why you want to stay abstinent as a Christian. And the last thing is a devotional, Believing Bigger, 100 Days of Believing Bigger. And I really enjoyed this one. It was really encouraging faithfully, and I just liked it. So everybody, I hope you all took something away from that. I hope you all find a book that you want to read, or if there's one of those books in here that you have read, comment them down below and tell me your rating. I don't have my Goodreads linked in my link tree, but if you want to go check out my link tree, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and I hope you're already subscribed on YouTube, but if not, and you enjoyed this video, I would love if you followed along. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and know that I love you and Jesus loves you. Bye!